Hello producers, it's Ozgun here. In this tutorial, I'm gonna show you how I made my latest release Unity. I'm gonna show you channel by channel and I'm gonna explain all the project for you. And if you're ready, let's get into the tutorial. So guys, this is the track I have. The project looked like that. Probably we can start with the kick and bass. So in the track, just to save some CPU, I consolidate my kick and bass, but I have the channels, so let's start by checking channel by channel to the kick and the bass. So this is the kick I'm using. Actually, I find this kick, as I remember from SPLICE, it was just a kick loop, and I just used the very one shot of it and make the main kick. And as you see, I just dipped the 300 Hz just a little bit and give some 3K to give a bit more click on the kick. And the kick is pretty distorted already. And I'm routing the kick to here. And in here we have just a little bit more EQ to get more click on the kick. And other than that, we got this top kick. All the low frequencies are cutted. We are only using the click part of it, the transient, the attack. So together they sound like that. So as you see, just two layers and we have the really good, really big, solid kick for the track, but we definitely needed some rumble. So I'm routing the kick to rumble channel in here, the empty channel in here, and in that channel, I'm adding some distortion. So maybe I can delete the ones I'm not using. So I can show you channel by unmuting them. So this is the distortion that we add. After distortion, I'm using the reverb. This is my settings. And as you see, the reverb is fully mono. Like I made it fully mono in the Fruity reverb. And after that, I'm cutting all the high frequencies, just giving the very sub, very bass frequencies. And it's becoming very bassy, very rumbly sound. And probably this is for just giving some more gain to the sound. And after that, I have the sidechain. So if I activate the kick, and with this, I can generate my rumble, my sub, just with the kick that I'm currently using in the track. But other than that, we have the rolling bass, top of that sounds. So that's really groovy bass sound. The sound is from Production Music Live Techno 2-pack. I'm gonna put a link in the description. If you're interested to check the pack, you can check the link on the description. Let's check the processing of the rolling bass. Okay, let's check the processing of the rolling bass. Maybe again, I can just deactivate everything. So this EQ does nothing. I have some distortion. The thermal, which adds a really nice grit to the sound, adding the texture. And after that, I'm using the Novelty character to boost the sound a bit more, especially on the upper mid regions. And after that, just some EQ to cut the very sub frequencies because we already have the rumble. So in order to layer them properly, we needed to get rid of all the sub frequencies of the rolling bass. And I have the sidechain, which is a really weird curve, but it's working in this track. Just adding the groove by controlling all of the bass hits with LFO tool. And all the layers sounds like that. Pretty fat, pretty decent. So yeah, as I said, I just rendered the bass channels. So I get less CPU because this was a heavy track. And I sent all the render to here. just for filtering and cutting the low frequencies on the side mode. So I'm making sure there is no stereo information on the bass frequencies. So which is gonna help me on the mastering, which is gonna make my low end much more tighter. And yeah, other than that, I'm just boosting some frequencies just to get more shape, more color on the both kick and bass. The end result sounds like that.
Tonight with this, what we're doing here, all getting together, realize that.
So other than that, if we check the other sounds in the drop, we have this sound. Just adding some texture, I'm hiding it very back of the mix. And other than that, we have the white noise. So those two sounds are pushed very back of the mix, but they are covering tons of frequencies and making the track sounds much more fuller. Those are the drums I have. We have some hi-hat. And it's sidechained with the kick because we have the rolling head like hitting all the time, and especially when it hit at the same time with kick in here and in here, it could cause some problems. So in order to solve the problem, I just put some limiter and sidechain the rolling hi-hat to the kick. So when the kick hits, the first hits of the hi-hat is ducking down. So I get more groove and still got space for my kick to shine. And I have this closed hi-hats in the first part of the drop. And in the second part of the drop, I'm bringing more drums, such as this. And as you see, like this hi-hat hitting 2 times, but the first hit is so small, so silent in terms of velocity. So it's adding a really nice groove to the track. Instead of having the hi-hat like that, I'm using the groove really small shots. And with huss effect, it's just becoming so much cooler. So other than that, we have this hi-hat as well. And other than that, we have this top loop. And all of the drums, all of the hi-hats, like sounds like that. So drum-wise, the first drop actually, there's nothing special. We got some hi-hats and some top loops. But other than that, I have this percussion and it's just playing all the time in the drop, in the second drop, in the intro. So it's just a part of the main groove of the track. I just wanted to have something that counts the rhythm, that counts kind of like the BPM. And I came out with this idea, just put this very basic percussion, but it's, you know, fit the track so perfectly. So this is the fill I have, the pre-drop fill. And in here I just have claps and I have the reversed claps. So they just adding some ear candies and I'm panning the claps left and right. So I got more wide feel and it was kind of unexpected. In this track, I did tons of panning stuff to make the track sound much more fuller. And yeah, like that, the first drop drums, I think that's it. So maybe before we go to the vocals, we can just take a look at the other drop sounds. We have this drop synth shot group in here. Let me solo the kick and bass for you. And yeah, let's take a listen to the shots. So this sound is a preset from Medic's Serum Pack, and it's just hitting one offbeat like that. And if we check the processing, I have some distortion, some EQ. This is all coloring the stuff and making it fit to the mix down. So this is something I find online. So this plugin is just dipping some frequencies. Some frequencies tend to, resonate. If the sound is too harsh, you can just use this kind of EQ. I'm not sure where I find this patch, but yeah, this patch is just, EQing some predictable resonating frequencies, and in this case it just worked very well. And the very important thing in this sound is the delay and the delay timing, especially. Like if you check it, we have tons of delay happening in the sound. And I'm completing the delay with this reverb. This is also so wide reverb, so big reverb. It's working really well with a techno track. And yeah, other than that, I have the OTT and nothing else, just the sidechain. And that sound just worked pretty well in this track. And let's see what we have other than that. We have this sound. That's just a one-shot percussion. But the good thing, I have 50% panning, just left and right, so it's adding a movement and variation to the sound. So this is a step channel that I have. And other than the step and the synth shots, we have this vocal sound, which is giving some character, some texture, some theme to the drop. And yeah, there's only the noises left. And other than that, that's the beginning of the first drop. So we can take a look of the vocals now.
So tonight with this, what we're doing here and all getting together, you have to realize that, well, this is special.
I find the vocals on Splice and there are some different phrases. I just made some trial and error and tried to come up with some theme, some story with the samples that I have. So I just come up with this, order of the vocal samples. And I put some compression, give some distortion. This EQ giving the top end, so making the vocals more clear, more bright. This is for de-essing. The S sounds, the siblings, the harsh upper frequencies are taking care of this de-esser. I have EQ to cut the low frequencies. And this plugin was a really cool EQ, but this is just the demo version. I was, I just use it on the track and then I didn't buy the full version. So it's still on the demo, but that wasn't doing that much special as I remember. It was kind of like the auto EQ thing. But yeah, I was testing this plugin when I produced the track. So I just give it a try on the trial version, but I never, buy the plugin. So we can just mute it for now. And we have the delay reverb patch that I'm always using for my tracks. We have the OTT and the endless cry just for the automation purposes. And other than that, we have the sidechain. So that's all for the vocals. And I think the very, the surprising sound in the first drop was this weird, gritty, like dark lead that I have, which sounds like that. So I made this sound again in Serum. That was just a Future Rave lead sound. As you see, this sound is a soul lead, a Future Rave lead, and it's fat, it's cool, but there's nothing special for now. But the thing I made with MIDI just making the track so much special, making the sound so much special. I'm using this glides and I'm just gliding it very like the second octave, very, very low frequency. And this glide just creating this beautiful effect on the sound. With processing like distortion, Thickify, and you can find the links for more info for those plugins in the description as well. So they are always making the sound so much better. I always use the DST and the Thickify for this kind of sounds. You can just achieve so much bigger sounds with these plugins so easily. I have the EQ, again the same patch, delay reverb patch, more EQ. Some suit, but just tame the mid-range, OTT, and I'm just clipping, hard clipping the sound. So I'm just hard clipping everything so I can just boost the volumes even more. And I have the sidechain. And yeah, this is it for the processing. So I'm just making it so fat with using the plugins I have. And with the kick and bass, I think for me, the most surprising parts of the track is totally this section. And yeah, guys, this is the first drop. Let's proceed to the break section. So in the break, let's check what sounds do we have. Probably we can start checking the main ARP. So again, a future rave lead, a sound from Serum, and the processing is again the same. We have distortion, EQ, this weird patch, more EQ, some filters, some delay reverb, some panning automation. Probably this one is for the build-ups, and I have this OTT to glue the sound, glue the channel. And yeah, I have the track spacer, and so this plugin is ducking the sound, like sidechaining a certain frequency. I'm using it when the ARP and the vocal are playing at the same time. I'm just sidechaining the vocal to here, and track spacer just dipping the frequencies, only clashing with the vocals. So with that, I don't need to, extra EQ my ARP. I can just put the track spacer, and when the vocal sing, the track spacer is gonna duck the main ARP in the frequencies that are playing at the same frequencies, are clashing with the vocal. And other than that, I think the important thing in this break section is we are going to the triplets from, the regular 4 on the floors. So for that, in here, you can just go change the step to 1/6 beat, and you get the triplets. So now we are dividing 1 bar to 3 instead of 4, and we are just going a different and new vibe for the track. I'm starting my second drop with triplets, and I'm just, switching it to the 4 on the floor again in the second part. We will get back to that. So after ARP, we have the Reese Bass. Just some regular processing. I use this compressor to just boost the sound even more, to make it more fat. And I think there is again just a Serum preset, or not, that one I made it with Anna 2 synth. Yeah, that's the preset if you wanna check it out. So we have some strings, but maybe I can show the pads first, because break is starting by the pad. And just like a ladder, I'm starting with the pad and then I'm introducing the strings. So I'm just extending the break and adding something new after 4 or 8 bars. So this is the pad I have. Yeah, nothing special on the pad, just dreamy, blurry pad sound. We have these strings. Other than that, we have this sound for the break. So this is basically the render of the every chord of the strings, and I'm just reversing it and fading it in. So that's a really small and subtle sound you probably not even hearing in the full mix, but it's just adding the string some more extra movement. And beneath it we have the white noise and impact. We only have the vocal, that's all for the break section. If we go to the build-up, so the most interesting thing on the build-up is especially this vocal part.
One ride, 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 one ride.
You probably know how I made it if you're following the channel for a while. I did it with Fruity Granulizer. I'm gonna put a card so you can check my dedicated tutorial about this topic. So basically I'm just drag drop a phrase to the granulizer and I'm automating the grain space and wave spacing. Yeah, these two knobs and you can get this effect. Yeah, and other than that, just don't forget to automate the pitch. So you can just make this kind of weird, build up sounds, and you can just do this with any sound you have, not only necessary to make with the vocals. So those are the automations I have. I'm just adding some washout with the Endless Cry plugin as well. And you just work on the automations, give it time, and you can just make this kind of cool and weird build-up sounds. And other than that, actually, like all the sounds I have in the break, still happening, still playing on the build-up, but like changing it, some kind of fade out, and also at the same time, maybe, pitching it up. So I'm just raising the tension as much as I can just before the second drop. So I had pad and strings, they are both pitching up. The arp is pitching up, and beneath it we have these snares. So in this kind of big room techno tracks, you don't go jump into the second drop. You got some empty place, several bars. So you can just make some pre-drop and introduce the second drop lead, for example. And in here, this is exactly what I'm doing. This is the lead I have. So those are the reverse reverb tails. So I'm still in the triplets. If you check the midis, I'm just dividing a one bar to three pieces. Again, this one is, I'm not sure, but some future rave pack. This is a future rave lead, a very basic lead sound. And the processing wise, I'm using Noveltech character, some EQ. This is for automation. This is for delay reverb. Just giving it a bit stereo imaging, making it white. Having the OTT, endless smile for automation purposes. And I'm just hard clipping the sound, not to get peaks. And yeah, there's nothing special on the processing wise on the sound. So this new sound is the same sound in the first drop, the surprising sound that I mentioned. So I'm just introducing the sound again in the second part of the second drop. And as you see, like in here, we are just converting the track to 4 on the floor again. Let's check the leads. So I'm just having this tape start effect. If you don't know how to make the tape stop, tape start effect, I have a YouTube short video about it. Again, I'm gonna put the card so you can watch how to make it. So with this, it's kind of like I'm turning a vinyl, you know, and transforming the measurement of triplets to 4 on the floor again. It adding this part a cool ear candy. So this is the second drop lead, and let's check the second drop drums. So this is a pre-drop fill, and again I have some pen automations. If you check closely, the percussion that's playing all the time in the first drop, again we have that one, but this time it's following the triplet. I have some small drum fills, and those are the drums, the hi-hats from first drop, but again, they are also now playing the triplet beats like that. And in here, when I go 4 to 4, I'm just switching everything how they were in the first drop. And let's check what other sound do I have. Actually, like all the other sounds is same, just exactly the same in the first drop. But yeah, the only difference now they are playing the triplets instead of 4. And when I switch the triplets, I think this is so important. When I switch the triplets, I'm also changing the delay timing. Because the first drop delay timing was 3. The delay was kind of playing the triplets, but if I do it in the second drop, since the MIDI is already triplet, the delay is going to clash with the original sound. So I needed to make it 4 or 8, so I get the same effect, even though I'm switching the triplets. So this is kind of technical stuff, but you should make sure the delay timings no matter what. And yeah guys, other than that, that's all for this track. Maybe we can take a look of the mastering. So for the mastering, I have this EQ, just boosting this frequency and cutting the side frequencies. Again, just in case if I clip. And the track was so loud, I needed to lower volume 3 dBs from here so I can gain stage, and I don't want to feed the compressor, the next plugins I have, with too much information. That's why I just dip 3 decibels of sound. So after I master the track, I kind of don't like the bass amount that I have. So I decided to check this plugin and just give some bass. This is something I did just before rendering, just before releasing the track, sending the track to the label. So I usually don't do it if I have a problem. I try to fix it inside of the mix, but in these situations, just boosting these 2 bands just make the track so much fuller. So I decided to keep this plugin. So I'm using this plugin after the bass drum. This is just for adding some stereo width to the sound in here. And it's making the 100 Hz totally mono, so it doesn't affect those frequencies. And after that, we have the compressor. It's just cooling the track. I have this master EQ, and it's just boosting 4 kHz a little bit and 8 kHz a little bit. So it's again just for the coloring the sound. And after that, I'm using this exciter. I'm not touching the first 2 bands, lows and the mids. I'm just working on the high mids and the high frequencies. And I'm in the retro mode. I'm just distorting the mix, distorting my master just a little bit. So there are no crazy numbers. So it makes the track a bit more shining, a bit more crisp. I gotta say, this not always works, so just in this track it worked. And other than that, I'm just boosting the track with hard clipping until I get like -7, -8 RMS, something like that.
What we're doing here, I'll get.
So yeah, that's all for the master of the track. This is how it looks. This is how I produce Unity. I hope you can learn from something and you can apply this to your own productions as well. Today that was it, guys. See you on the next video. Bye bye.